Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Marin and here you will find a little beauty, a little books, and a little teaching content. So if that sounds like something you might enjoy, I would love for you to subscribe and stick around and join me in my little corner of YouTube. Today's video is going to be my January no-buy recap. So let's go ahead and get into the video. So if you watched my 2023 goals video, which I will link up above in the cards for you, you will know that for the first 3 months of 2023, I am doing a replacements only no buy. So I decided that in order to keep myself accountable, I would do monthly check-ins to kind of let you know what I did purchase, items that I was enjoying during the month, and some things that I thought about buying but didn't actually purchase. So that's kind of how this video is going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with my purchases. Now I did make 3 purchases for a total of 5 items. All of these were replacements, and they were replacements for things that I did not have any kind of alternate item in my collection for. So we're going to start off with the purchase that I made from number 7. I did pick up another translucent Perfect Light pressed powder. This is the powder that I use for my under eyes. So I picked up a brand new one because all I had left at the beginning of the month was like the tiniest little bit because I had repressed it. I did finish that, so I went ahead and picked up a new one. And since I was making this purchase, I decided to go ahead and get their retinol eye cream as well. This is the number 7 pure retinol eye cream. It just looks like this because I had used up all of the little sample packets that I had, as well as like the full size. So we'll go ahead and get the price out of the way. So the powder was $12.99 and the eye cream was $27.99. So fairly pricey considering that number 7 is a drugstore brand, but it's kind of in line with a lot of the other retinol eye creams that I was looking at potentially purchasing. And I just decided that it was better to go ahead and purchase from one place so that I wasn't having as many packages coming. And I was not going to continue to look on the internet and potentially want to buy even more things. So these were my purchases from number 7. Then I picked up 2 purchases from Sephora. So I had been talking about the fact that I was waiting for the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer to come back in stock. It finally did. So I did pick up my shade, which is Vanilla. This took quite a long time to come back in stock. So if you are looking for this and your shade has been out of stock, keep checking, because I was kind of going back and just checking and checking, even though I'd signed up for like the email to send me once it was back in stock. I got the email, but by the time I went, it was already sold out. So I just kept checking, but I did manage to pick this up, which I'm really glad about because this is by far my favorite concealer of all time. So this was $32, and I decided to go ahead and also pick up the Inkey-less Niacinamide Serum, which just looks like this. This retails for $9.99 because I needed to replace the one from Acure, which I had used all the way up, and I do like to have a niacinamide serum in my skincare routine for the morning. So those were my 2 purchases from Sephora. And then the final item that I picked up was a setting powder, and I decided to go with this one from Estetica, which is a brand that I am not familiar with, but I was doing some research and you get a ton of product in here. This is 4 ounces, y'all. 4 ounces of powder, and it was $19.97. Considering that if you look at a lot of other powders on the market, you're getting maybe an ounce, and especially with the like more high price brands, so like the Laura Mercier, their powder's like $40 and you get 1 ounce. This was by far the most cost-effective way that I could go. So I did pick this up. This is going to last me a super long time. I am wearing it today, so I do like how it applies. It does go on kind of white, but I noticed that I was able to like fluff off whatever was left, and it didn't really like make my skin look more pale or anything like that. I don't know how well this would work for those with darker skin tones, but if you're my shade or lighter, this would work fine. But 4 ounces, I could not pass that up for only $19.97. So this is going to keep me in powder for a very long time. So this was definitely the more cost-effective way to go. So that means in January, I spent a total of $102.94, which was a little bit over the $100 that I'd set for myself for each month, because I do have an overall beauty budget of $1,200 for 2023. So hopefully I will not need to make any purchases next month. I have a lot of little sample size things in my collection that I'm hoping to get through in February. So that will hopefully save me from making some purchases. So that is the purchase part of this no buy out of the way. So I am going to kind of talk briefly about some items that I kind of have been looking at, but obviously I'm not pulling the trigger on because I am on a no buy. So one thing that I'm really kind of thinking about purchasing at some point this year is the Kosas concealer. I have heard some really good things about that concealer. So I keep looking at it every time I'm like on Sephora's site, but the shades are going to require me to do a little bit of study because I'm not really sure what shade would be best for me. Right now I am using two e.l.f. concealers that I'm combining together. So one is more of like a peachy tone, one is a lighter shade for like brightening, because I do have pretty dark under eye circles, so I want to kind of cancel out that purple. So that is something that I'm looking at. I did see that e.l.f. has like a color corrector that they've brought out, which is like very inexpensive. So I might potentially look at that in combination with the Kosas concealer at some point. But again, that's going to be a little ways off because I don't need concealer right now, but I am eyeballing that one. I've looked at that every time I've been on Sephora's site. Another product that I want to bring back into my collection is the Makeup Forever HD Skin Foundation. I finished that up, I believe, in December. Really, really loved that, so would love to bring that back into my collection, but I want to get through a couple of things that I already have first. And obviously foundation is not a necessity for me. I have things I can use instead. So obviously have not purchased that. But I am still looking for like my perfect setting powder. I have talked at length about how the Too Faced Peach Perfect one was like my favorite of all time, and it's just a bummer that that was discontinued. So I do have this one now. We will see how this one holds up. I did like how it looked when I applied it. I like how it went on. I feel like it left my skin looking matte but not like washed out and dry. So we'll play around with that one and see if maybe this one will be a good replacement for that. But those are some things that I kind of was eyeballing. I also was looking at some clothing that I ultimately did not purchase, so go me, but I found this cute My Little Pony like throwback vintage sweatshirt that I saw advertised on Facebook that I actually had in my cart but ultimately decided not to get because I am trying to behave myself. And I find that when I am stressed out or something is bothering me, it is very easy to just mindlessly look at websites. So I've been really trying to curtail that urge a little bit this month, and it actually has not been as hard as I was thinking it might be. So I did make those replacement purchases, but I went on the sites and I just put those items in my cart. I didn't even look around at anything else. So I feel pretty good about that I wasn't tempted to buy things that I did not need. And I am happy to report that I'm making some headway with some products that I'd had in my collection, and I'm hoping that I will be able to roll those out within the next couple of weeks. So that's kind of what this no buy is about for me. It's kind of getting through some products that have been sitting around in my skincare collection in particular for a little bit of time that I need to get used up, and kind of just really taking a look at the things that I have and deciding if they're worth spending the money on. So more expensive items, like I have a Drunk Elephant moisturizer, which in my opinion is worth the money, but obviously that's not something I'm going to want to continue to shell that kind of money out for over and over again. So just kind of playing around with products, seeing what works for me, what I can make work for me, what is a decent dupe, if you will, for things that I perhaps had previously and now no longer want to purchase, that kind of stuff. So that's what this no buy is all about, as well as kind of saving some money, obviously. So now let's go ahead and talk about my favorites for the month of January, and then we will sign this video off. Okay, so I have 4 items that I'm going to talk about very briefly. 3 of them are skincare, 1 of them is makeup. So the first one that I want to kind of just talk about is this Ultra Repair Wild Oat Hydrating Toner from First Aid Beauty. I have been using this now for about a month, and y'all, I really like this toner. I have been trying to find a toner that really works for me, and I think I may have found it with this one. So I find that this one gives my skin that boost of hydration, and I don't feel like my skin feels dry once the toner sinks in. My products go on top of it really nicely, and I'm just really loving this. So I have been using this morning and night, and I do feel like my skin has reacted very positively towards it. So this is one of them that I definitely have been giving a lot of love this month. Another one that I have started reusing is this Peach and Lily Transparency Pro Spot Treatment. It looks like this. It has a dropper top. So basically you just take a little dot of it and you put it on dark spots. Now, I had quite the dark spot on my cheek right here. You can still see it a little bit, but it was quite dark, like purple in color. So I was using this like every night just on that spot, and I feel like it's really helped heal that up. I have another one over here that I'm kind of working with as well, but this is really good for those really stubborn spots. Now, both of my spots were like hyperpigmentation left over from breakouts, so I can't speak to other type of hyperpigmentation, but for post breakouts, this is working really well, and I'd kind of forgotten how good it was. This is quite expensive, so I want to make sure that I'm using this like regularly, because I do not want it to go bad. So this is something that I've definitely been enjoying. And then a moisturizer that I want to give a little shout out to is the Great Barrier Relief Cream from Crave Beauty. So you can see I've got about half the bottle gone. This is really good for me for just a moisturizer, even at night, a nighttime moisturizer. I have oily combo skin, and this is like perfect. Now, it's got a pretty strong scent because there is tamanu oil in this, but my skin loves this, and I'd kind of forgotten just how good this stuff was until I was using it regularly as a moisturizer at night. So shout out to this. This is definitely a product that I will be repurchasing. And then the final item that I have is an eyeshadow palette, and it is actually my Pan That palette for 2023, and that is the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette. This is the oldest palette that I have in my collection, and I have been wearing this pretty much every single day. I do not have it on today, but every other day this month I've basically worn at least one shade. So you can see I've gotten some really good use out of this shade right here, which is called Strange. I had pan in it before the year started, but I have expanded that pan, and I've just been using these neutrals as an everyday look, kind of changing things up a little bit with like the different shimmers, and I really like this palette. So you can see it's gotten some use. There is definitely some dents in there, and I have been having a very good time just replaying with this palette and just remembering what it was about it that I loved. So those are kind of my 4 favorites for January, and that's all I have for you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone.